All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be covering paperless onboarding and then employee self-service. Then we're going to move over to offboarding. So we're going to show the three cycles of the employee. That's getting them into the system, what they can do while they're in the system and while they're with your organization, and then what happens whenever an employee leaves, and how can we make those steps easier with paper trails and everything in the cloud. So first thing we're going to do is start with how to get the employee into the system without them coming in on that first day, sitting down, filling out a bunch of paperwork, reading a handbook and all that while they could be, doing their job on that first day. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to log into iSolved under your admin account. All right, so here we are. This is our home screen. And you can initiate onboarding a couple different ways. The one way would be through applicant tracking. So if you're doing applicant tracking and you have our attract and hire product, you could initiate it from that system and all the information would flow over here. If you don't have applicant tracking, you just initiate it right from your admin account, client user account of iSolved. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to simply search pending employees. It's going to pull up that screen. I make it larger here so I can see what I'm doing. And here's all the people that we have sent onboardings to. This is our dashboard and where they're at in the process. So you can see Nicole here is an employee that we sent onboarding to. This is the company we sent it from. So if you have multiple legal companies, you'll know which company you sent it from. And then the onboarding template. The onboarding template is important because this will help you identify the type of employee that you're waiting for them to fill out. So you may have hourly, salary, union, non-union, depending on what you have and what you're asking them, you may do different templates for them. So you can have multiple templates and then the current step that they're on. So the current step is either going to be they're finished and it's assigned to you to go ahead and process, or you're waiting for the employee to finish. Now, with onboarding, you can have multiple different people finish steps along the process. So once the employee finishes their onboarding, it could be sent to somebody that's going to get a notification that they're going to go in and they would see assigned to me. And maybe it's for them, their job is to add the company assets, the computer, the gas card, the cell phone to that employee. And then they would hit finish and it would go to the next person. A lot of our clients, though, are, it's one person doing all of it, but you could separate it out into different tasks. For our purpose here, we're going to go ahead and initiate an onboarding. So I'm going to select my legal company. Select the work location. The work location is very important because that's going to determine the appropriate tax forms that are being sent out, federal and state. The onboarding templates, you see we have a bunch of different templates in here. I'm just going to use my test template. And then to get this out to the employee, all we need is their name and email address. I could actually just send this off right now because that's all that's required. If I want to fill in some of this other information so it populates for them on their end, I can. I don't have to, but like if I put in the Social Security number, I'd be able to then save, and this would kick off to the employer. If I knew this other information ahead of time, I could put that in there, or I can do that whenever it comes over to me to process in the system. I could fill that information in. There is going to be some things we have to still fill out, the salary, job category, things like that, things we wouldn't have asked them to do. All right. So once I hit save here, then the employee is going to receive an email, and that email is going to ask them to log in and authorize their username and password. So their username is the email address we sent it to. So that's the nice thing. Once they have that email username, that becomes their username to get into the system. That becomes their username moving forward for self-service. They create their password and security question and answer in case they get locked out. They don't have to necessarily come to you. for a reset, they can go ahead and answer their security question, and it will allow them to reset their password. Now, the very first screen they're going to see after they create their password and security question and answer is the electronic consent form. So this will pull up on their screen, and they're going to go ahead and click on accept, and this allows you to collect their signature electronically. This is the actual document I pulled from my self-service because it saves it in the self-service so they can see it at any point in time. All right. So now here's the first screen for onboarding, and this is our onboarding wizard. It's going to take them step by step through the process of getting all the necessary information we need to get this employee into the system without us having to key it in. So the first welcome screen here is just a welcome. You can customize this to say whatever you want. And then this screen is used to have any forms, policies, documents you need them to electronically sign off on or fill out. So you could have fillable forms here. You can see we have an example of a handbook. You could have cell phone policies. It could be, one-off policies that you have outside of your handbook. Anything you want to have them sign off on can be put here. I also have below some links that you could have attached to other websites that they may need to visit before onboarding. It could be a message from the CEO on your YouTube channel. It could be just informational documents about how to fill out the information that they're about to see. So it could be really anything you want to put out there for them before they start. In order to sign off on a handbook or a policy that is required, they have to physically click on the PDF, have it open up on their screen, and then once they come back, they'll be able to click this sign button, and that it'll say, by signing this, I acknowledge I've read and understood this document. So it's the same thing if it was in front of them. They'd be, reading through the pages and then come back, and then at the bottom, they take their pen and it would say, do you acknowledge that you've read and understood this? They'd sign off on it. So it's the same idea here. From this screen, we just hit continue. And it's going to take them to the actual wizard where we're going to start gathering all of our green check marks all the way down till we're finished. The pending employee is not able to submit an unfinished onboarding. So if they don't get everything done and they don't have a green check mark, then it's not going to allow them to submit, because then you're chasing them down and it really defeats the purpose of having paperless onboarding. So some fields are required, some fields are not. And you are able to determine that during the setup. So our team's going to sit with you and say, here's all the options you have to put out there on your template. And then you go through, pick those, and then you decide which fields you absolutely have to have them fill out or they can't submit. There are some fields like you may say, like supporting documents. You may say, I don't know if everybody's going to be able to do that or have that on their phone or on their tablet or desktop to be able to upload something. If they don't do that, they can skip that one and still get a green check mark. I'll get their documents from them and scan them in when they come in. That's perfectly fine. So here, before I get started with the rest of this is mobile capable. So you can do onboarding on the phone, on the tablet, on a PC, any device you're using, you can it'll format to that screen seamlessly, so you don't have to worry about not seeing certain things from the desktop version to the phone version or iPad version, tablet version. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I have a lot of this filled out for us. This is save some time, but the personal information, so they can upload a profile picture if you allow them to. And then it's going to have their name and any information you filled out for them already. Like my name was already filled out. I put in the address. I put in the zip code, and it calculated the tax engine on the back end is smart enough to know that this is City of Swickley and PA, and then also the taxable school district of Quaker Valley, because it went to not only just the zip code, but also back to the address. So I'll hit save there, and then I'm on to the contacts. So I put in that social security number. It does hide it for us. So that populated already. They didn't have to do that. Put in the email address, and then I save there. And now I'm on to my contact information from a benefit standpoint. So my emergency contacts, my beneficiaries, and my dependents. Now, what's important about this screen is if I go ahead and put in my beneficiaries and my dependents, from my family's perspective. This is going to flow over to benefit information. So if I choose to do benefit open enrollment through the self-service with iSolved, then when I get to the dependent section, all those people, all my family members are going to be in there for me already. I don't have to rekey them in. The only thing I'd have to do is make edits as needed. So I put those individuals in there, and then next I have my paycheck. So this is my direct deposit information. You see, I already have one in here for us, but all I did was hit direct deposit. It does tell me what the routing and account number are so that they don't get those mixed up. So I put those in there. I choose the type of account it is. I can even give it a, checking 1, checking 2, because you can have multiple different direct deposits with us. And then you say, okay, how do I want this paid out? If I only have the one, I'm just going to do remaining net. So I wouldn't have to worry about that. This is the second one. So it's asking me, do I want to do a flat dollar amount? Do I want to do a percentage of my pay? And what's the frequency? All right. So I already have this one in here. So I'm going to leave it and hit next. And it's going to take me to the taxes. And because I chose that work location, I know it's going to send me the federal W-4, obviously, and then it's going to send me the state form, the residency form. So let's go ahead and fill out this W-4 real quick. So this is going to be a step-by-step process as well. It's not everything on one screen as to confuse the employee. We know the W-4 is not the easiest thing to navigate, but this does break it down nicely. So they're just going to go screen by screen here and answer the questions. So not a non-resident alien. For our purposes, I'll say I'm not exempt. And then I have to choose how I want to file. So if I say married, filing jointly, then I hit next. And then it's going to say, how do you want to calculate your withholdings? And it's going to give you 4 options. None of the above, where you're going to do it on your own. Is there 2 jobs that you want to match up with that worksheet, multiple job worksheet? You can decide what you want to do there. Hit next, and then you can do your dependents. So if you have dependents, you put yes, and then it also tells you what a child tax credit is and what a child must meet for the following conditions, and it gives you those conditions here. And then, do I have any other adjustments I need to worry about? I say no. And then I simply sign off on this with the last 4 of my SOCH. You see it nicely filled this out for us. Now you have a nice legible W-4. Hit submit there, and there it is. Once I hit continue, then it's going to take me to the survey for the state. I'm going to say, yes, I do work in Pennsylvania, but I do not work in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has a local tax, city tax. So that's why it's asking that question. I'm not exempt because of military status, and I'm not filing an application for exception. So I hit no there. And then it fills out the PSD resident EIT rate, resident municipality and county for me. So I don't have to mess with that. And then also PSD code, EIT work rate, work municipality, and work county. So I don't have to figure those out. And then to sign off on this, I put in my email address again and my phone number. Hit next, and then I simply say this is all correct, and then use that last 4 of the SOCH again. And once I hit submit, I now have that resident certification form filled out, and I'm good to go. I can go back to my onboarding wizard. From there, I go to the I-9, and this is another option you can have in there. You can view the instructions on how to fill out an I-9. But for the I-9, you do have to fill out the information again. It doesn't pull it over because the Department of Homeland Security wants you to actually fill this out again so it can match it up with what you put up above and verify that all the information is correct. So I'm going ahead and filling that information out. All right, so now I have all that. I hit next. It's going to ask me if I used to prepare or not. Say I did not. I am a citizen. And then I sign this by typing my name the way I did in the previous screens up top. I acknowledge that this is correct. If I made an error, it would be red and say that if you put a middle initial in there and you didn't up top under your personal information, it's going to flag that. And so you're going to have to go back and type it the exact same way. And then it's going to say, do you want to upload your forms of identification? Now, you may need to still see those forms in person if that's your policy, and then take them and scan them in. Or if they upload them here, you can review them and then they can just show them to you when they get there. That way you save the time of scanning them in. So I could come in here and upload those if I needed to. I'm going to hit complete there. And now I can go on to my federal reporting questions, my EEO, self-identification. Also have veteran information. And then finally, there's disability self-identification. And they all give you the choice to not answer. Some other things that I could have included in this template are prior education, past employment, and also we have miscellaneous fields. So it's pretty often we're doing a miscellaneous fields for things like shirt sizes. It could be for parking spaces. It could just be a general question. What's your favorite beverage? Because the company has parties from time to time and they want to be able to run a report to see what everybody's favorite drink is. So we can have those included as well. The next step is the certifications. This is probably one of the most used sections of the system because this allows you to populate all of your certifications in here for them to choose from, especially if they need these certifications to start the job. So in our case here, I picked forklift operator. I could put PA as the authority or whoever the authority is, and then I can put an effective date and a stop date in here, and an expiration date. What's nice about the expiration date is we can tie that to a workflow that will notify the employee and also notify their supervisor or manager, letting them know when that's due to expire. So you could have it set up for 30 days out. They get an email, hey, your forklift operator's license is about to expire. You may want to go in and you could customize that message. You could have another one sent in 15 days. And then one, we have 10 days left. And then one, it's say, hey, this is about to expire. You're not going to be able to, operate tomorrow if you don't have this done. So here's that forklift operators certification there. And then if there is any other supporting documents, maybe it is that certificate from the test you took or from the training you did, you could upload that here. So the I-9 documents go in after the I-9, but any of the other documents are going to go right here. And this is one of those screens where you could choose to not have it as a required field so that they can submit the onboarding even if they didn't do this, because you get to, you'll know your employees and the type of employees you're hiring, and you'll get a feel for what they're capable of and not capable of, or some aren't capable of. And so you don't want to hold them up and not get them into the system. So if there's something you don't want required and just you can get it on the back end, that's fine. All right, so now I'm just going to review this, make sure that I have everything. If I'm missing anything, it's going to tell me here and it's going to link it back, but it looks like I'm good. I can then hit next. I can review my information as needed, but if it all looks good, I can hit submit. Now, before I hit submit, let's say that I did section 2 here, and then it got interrupted or I had to do something. I could always exit out and come back and my information is saved. For our purposes here, I'm going to hit submit. I'm able to exit that screen. And now what I'm going to do is log in back over here to my admin side. And here is that when I refreshed, I had the onboarding I just put in. So at this point, I see that I'm completed. It's assigned to me. So now I have my actions tab. My actions tab with 3 dots is going to allow me to do 4 different things. Bypass the wizard and hire the employees if you sent them the paperless onboarding. They need to start like working the very next day or maybe that day, and they're just not going to be able to fill it out, and you just need them into the system so that they're, with just a little bit of information, and you are going to put in the rest of the information for them. That's when you would hit bypass wizard. Client new hire wizard is what we will use. That just puts all their information into the new hire wizard, where you're going to go in and fill out the things that you didn't ask them to fill out. Resend activation email. So when that initial email goes out to the employee for them to fill out their paperwork electronically, it has that link, that authorization link for them to create their password. If they don't click on that and create a password within 72 hours, that link will expire for security purposes. So instead of going through the whole initiate onboarding process again, you just hit resend activation link and it sends them a new link. So if you ever get that call like, hey, it's not working, that's probably why. They probably just took too long to initiate or authenticate that link. And let's say an employee, you send out the information, it's just not going to work out. They're not going to finish it. They decided not to work there. You decide not to hire them. You could always just delete that pending employee and it takes them off your dashboard. So I'm going to hit client new hire wizard. And now we have our wizard, much like they had, where we're going to fill out all this information here. So you've probably all seen this. I'm not going to go through it, but you're just filling out the information that you wouldn't have asked them to fill out. You don't want them putting in their own salary or their job category, anything like that. If you're doing time and attendance, and you're using time clocks, you could put it in their time clock ID all the way down till you have all the information ready, and you'd hit save and save them into the system. All right. So now we have our employee in the system. Our next step is going to be showing the employee self-service. So that employee gets the email back, letting them know that they're able to log in to self-service. I do see we have some questions, so I will get to those as we go through here. All right, everybody should be seeing my screen. All right, so here is our self-service. And so on the left-hand side is all the things that you've decided with your implementation team of what you want in the self-service. These cards in the middle are the same, so they can navigate either way here. Managers or supervisors will have this manage button, so they'll be able to click on this and do their tasks. I'm going to come back to that. But for employees with time that are clocking in and out, they're going to be able to hit this punch button here, this little clock, and they can do a quick punch, which just punches them into their home department, or they can do a detailed punch, where they can select the department, the job, location, depending on your organization. We set it up the way that you need to allocate those hours. For the time card, they can click time card, and it's going to have their hours as they clock in. If you're not aware, this time card will be getting redesigned here shortly. So instead of left to right, it's going to be up and down. More like, if you're familiar with the classic view, the old self-service view, it's going to be more like that and a little easier to edit. So that'll be nice. And that's coming soon. The employee is able to look at their calendar to see what days they've requested off. If they have a schedule, they'll see their schedule in there, and they can do that by month, week, or day. And then also, if they're allowing them to request time off, they'd have the time off screen. And then any of the policies that they're enrolled in would show up here under the summary. And if they're only enrolled in just PTO, then they'll only see PTO. They won't see all of these. But let's say I wanted to take some time off. Again, only PTO would show up. I would have my hours that are available, how many after requests are available, and it will prorate it based on if I have any other pending time offs out there, which I do in this demo. So say, okay, on September 12th, I want to take off. That's a Thursday. And start time doesn't really matter what the start time is, as long as it doesn't cross over midnight into the 13th and say, okay, 8 hours. And I can put notes in here if I want. And once I hit submit here, that is going to fire off an email to my supervisor or manager, whoever's responsible for approving this. And that's where they're going to go to their manage tab. So now that manager gets that alert, they can go into their task and they have their dashboard, their manager dashboard. Here's the time off request right here. I have my punches, time card, time off, and updates, and I'll cover those. The time off review, click on it. And now here's the one I just did. So, okay, I had 28 hours available, 20 after if this is approved. So looks like I have that the employee has the hours, but I want to go and take a look and hit this calendar button to make sure that on the 12th, nobody else is scheduled off that's going to cause me a conflict with my scheduling or my staffing. I don't have that problem with this example. So I'm going to come in here and hit approve. Once I hit approve or reject, a message is going back to the employee, letting them know that there is no, that they have the time off requested, that it was approved. All right. If it was rejected, they're also getting one letting them know that it was rejected. Please reach out for more information. Now to go back to this task screen, you see I have punches here. The punches is if you have time and attendance and you have the pending punches turned on, then what we can do is allow them to request a pending punch, which means that they're saying that they forgot to punch in and they're at home now and they realize they never punched out. They can go in here and put in the punch, hit save, and then that manager's getting alerted, let them know that, hey, there's a pending punch. Let's go in and review that. And I would see, okay, yeah, I remember they did punch out at that time. So I'll approve this. So, or they should have punched out at that time. So they'll approve it. When I approve it, it becomes part of the time card, and it doesn't become part of the time card unless it's approved. And you could always reject it too. All right. So moving on down to the other options of what the employees can do, we obviously have that pay and tax, that direct deposit that we filled out during onboarding. Our pay history is going to show our past pays and our current pay coming up. And we're able to download a pay stub there or download multiple pay stubs. Has our year-end tax forms for when we go to file our taxes, or if we're getting a loan or a car, whatever it may be. And then a tax update. So you're able to actually allow them to change their withholding if you want. It doesn't have to be in there. These are all options for you, but if you want to allow them to do that, we can. Keep in mind, anytime that you allow an employee to make a change, whether it's add a new direct deposit, edit a current one, change their withholding, if they do that, it has to come over to you for approval or someone on your end on the admin side for approval. So it won't take effect until it's approved with payroll. Once it is, it will then become available for the next payroll. So they can't just make changes without somebody seeing it. Down into the personal, we have our document section. So these are all the forms or documents I filled out or that were uploaded on my behalf, the I-9, the benefit information. Each one of these documents can be set up for different levels of security. So you could have documents that the employee can't see, but you can see on your end. These are the ones that the employee is able to see. Here's that I-9 information. I've already completed it, but you could turn on the I-9 for any current employees that have not filled out an I-9. You could turn that on for them. Personal information is in there, and then the messages tab. So the messages tab can be used in a lot of different ways. We like to use it as like a form library, document library, and to push out messages to everybody. So the document library could have all your policies, any information you want the employee to have available to them. You could put here your healthcare information, your retirement information, your handbooks, policies, anything like that. And then you can also have other links to websites in here. And then If you wanted to push out a message to everybody, you can do that as well, or a group of people you can do. One thing that I've seen done a lot is, let's say everybody has signed the handbook, whether it's through onboarding or in the past on paper, and there's a new change to the handbook or a new policy that you need everyone to sign off on. One way to do that, instead of passing it out or sharing a PDF with everybody and asking them to sign it, is you could push out a mass email through the mass email utility tool to the messenger screen. Or would say you have a new, you get a notification on your app, you get a notification via email, letting them know that there's a new form to fill out or a new form to sign off on. So they would come in here, they would see the new handbook, they'd click on it, it would open up, they'd come back, and they'd be able to electronically sign off on it. Now you have everybody's electronic consent on the new handbooks. You don't have to go around, and you can always run a report to see who's done it and who hasn't done it. All right, next is benefits. So if you do have benefits in the system and you want to do benefit open enrollment through here, we can certainly do that. This is set up very similar to the way that the paperless onboarding is, which is good. So they have that continuity. So on the first page here is the message. Also, you can have some affidavits here, like a tobacco affidavit, you could put there. If you wanted to actually have a yes, no, they can do that. Here's that same thing in the yes, no format. But the first screen here is your information. And then we're going to start previewing the current benefits and then looking at our selections here. So very similar to onboarding. And again, you can always exit and come back. So we have our contact information here, our beneficiaries and dependents that I've already put in. I can make changes here if I need to. And then the current benefits, if I had any, would be in here. The cost analysis of the new benefits for the different plans. And then we start making our selections. So I'm going to come in here and for the medical and say, okay, I need employee plus family. And then I would be able to add the dependents that are going to populate for me. So I could hit those there. And it's going to tell me what the per pay amount is. Once I hit select plan, it's going to make sure that I'm picking everybody that I want to. So it's telling me I didn't pick two, but then it puts it up in the cart. And then I can see what the total cost is per pay per month and per year for all of them. So it's going to give me a running total here. Then I can hit next, and I can always waive. So it's going to, because of ACA and the ability to go to the marketplace and select your own benefits, it's going to allow you to waive on a plan if you want to. And it's going to also ask why. So you can say what their coverage is. And then we can put in here vision, dental, like you see here, buy up life insurance, multiple medical plans. You can have short-term disability, long-term disability. You may have some supplemental insurance that you're offering the employees as well. All can be put in here to make selections on and process. Once you are finished and you compare what you did last year to this year, and you want to say task to complete, if you're missing anything, it's going to ask you to do that. We're good here. I'd be able to submit this. You can print off your selections here. Once I hit submit, it's very similar to onboarding. Somebody's getting a notification letting them know that they are ready to be reviewed in the enrollment dashboard. And we usually do a webinar on that around this time to kind of go through this whole process. But if this is something that you want part of your self-service, we can certainly do that. Now, just to cover a couple other options, we do have expense tracking. And so this allows the employee to upload a receipt, scan a receipt, and submit it for reimbursement. So we can do that for you. Instead of issuing these separate checks, it could be all done through direct deposit or the regular pay. When I hit talent management, it's going to link to some of our other products, which share and perform. That engagement tool to be able to communicate with employees and managers, and also advanced performance reviews is available by just clicking that. Learn and Grow is our learning management system. So you could actually push out assignments to people to go through new hire training or continuing education. It could be safety. It could be sexual harassment training. It could be yearly trainings that need to be done. There's also the ability to pull from the marketplace and test on industry-specific trainings that you can do. And that all flows into iSolved under the training tab. And then if you're somebody that has access to applicant tracking and is doing some recruiting for you, then you can link to the applicant tracking site from here as well. All right. All right. So now the last thing we want to cover, we want to pull up offboarding. So unfortunately, there are going to be times when an employee is leaving, and everybody should be seeing that screen now. You know, they've signed on with you through onboarding. They went through the process of, you know, their day-to-day, and now they are, unfortunately, they're leaving the companies for whatever reason. And so you need to terminate them in the system. And so the way we do that is I can just search pending terminations, and it's going to pull up anybody that is in a current process of being terminated. So for this example, I initiated the offboarding for myself. And so I picked the company that they're being terminated from. And much like the onboarding, I'm picking the offboarding template. So I picked the offboarding template, and that just decides what workflows go to who. Pick the employee, the termination date, status, reason, all the things you would normally do under the general tab when you terminate somebody. What happens now is I go through and I start to put in the information. So on this date, they're being terminated. What's the reason? I have resignation in this one. I can put employee notes. I could even upload a disciplinary action from here if I wanted to. Next, I have my assets that I'm going to collect. And this is an example of during the offboarding process, you can have different people doing different tasks. And at the end of this, you'll have all of your tasks completed and all your check marks, just like a termination checklist, all online here. So maybe this went to IT, and IT's job was to make sure that they've recorded that they've got back the laptop, gas card, cell phone, whatever it may be, the date it was assigned, the date it was returned. And if you need to track the serial numbers or anything like that, that can be done as well. So they've checked off on that. Now, whoever's responsible for terminating the benefits, they're getting notified, and they go in and they terminate the benefits with the stop date. All these things with benefits, if you meet the requirements with your carrier for us to do a carrier feed, that information would be sent directly to your carrier. Now, also PTO, vacation, any pending absences, you could go in here and delete those if you needed to, and you can inactivate these plans. You can assign a new manager if you were a manager and you're leaving. Now, a new manager needs to be assigned to all of your employees. You can do that here if you're set up at the org level. Direct deposit information, obviously we want to inactivate any of those direct deposits, and also any deductions from a 401k or retirement plan aspect, any garnishments, pending performance reviews, certainly want to delete those. And so that's a good idea of some of the things that you can do during your termination process. Like I said, much like onboarding, there is some other options in there during the offboarding. And then you come in here and say, okay, what am I missing? I ran an audit, and I had to go back and take a look at the direct deposits. But from here, if I wanted to go ahead and check all those, so I would want to delete these before I would go forward, and then I would come in here and be able to save and terminate the employee. Okay. So what we've covered is paperless onboarding through employee self-service, through employee offboarding. All those things we did paperlessly. We got all their information into the system. We were able to add information, add new things, I-9s if they didn't have them, new handbook signatures, put out messages to them, allow them access to all the documents you want them to be able to see, link to link to learning management, link to their performance reviews. If there's somebody that's a recruiter, go right to the recruiting tab. Do all that within the one place, clocking in and out, requesting time off. And then if they have to leave the company, you're able to go in and do the same thing as onboarding, initiate everything from in the cloud, getting your termination checklist, able to go back and take a look at that checklist if there's ever a question, see what you collected from them, see what you did for them when they left, all in the cloud without having to file anything away. So if you do not have these products and you're interested in them, certainly reach out to us. We'll get you some pricing. I did record this. I know my screen wasn't sharing for a little bit there. I apologize for that. But we will get this recording out to you, and certainly reach out to us for pricing, or if you want to see a more in-depth demo for your organization so we can have the settings set up for, a little bit more specific for what you do, we can certainly do that. Appreciate you joining us. We'll do another one next month. We're going to tell you what that is. We're going to get that out to you so you can join that and sign up for that. And look for that email for us sending over the recording. Thanks, everyone.